everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we are going to dive in and talk a little bit about the Master of Science in Organizational Leadership and Negotiation here at BayPath. My name is Samantha Shea, and I'm an Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions here. And I am going to be welcomed shortly by Dr. Joshua Weiss, who is our Program Director. So we're going to share just a little bit of information about BayPath, about the program itself, those admission requirements, and then we'll have some time to dive into some frequently asked questions. So without further ado, we will dive in and get started. BayPath at a glance. So BayPath was established in 1897. We are a private not-for-profit institution. We have campuses that are located in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, and our online platform. We have a student body of over 3,300 students with more than 20,000 alumni worldwide, and we are fully accredited by the New England Commission of Higher Education. Why students choose BayPath? They find at BayPath that we are very flexible and accessible. We have a supportive faculty and staff with an engaging and diverse community. We have an innovative approach to learning with immediately applicable knowledge that can be used, in the field that you are studying. So without further ado, I will welcome Dr. Joshua Weiss to the presentation.
Great. Well, thank you, Sam. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you all. So this is actually the 10th year that we've been in existence at BayPath with this particular program, and it's been my pleasure to direct the program these many years and hire the faculty, bring in the students, and talk to folks like you who might be interested. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of what this program is all about, what you really get by joining it, how it differs from other programs, and then we'll kind of go through the courses so that you get a sense of what this might look like. And I'm certainly open to any kind of a conversation with anyone who's interested, might have more questions, either via email or over the phone. Happy to share that information with you and get started. I'm a big fan of stories. I think stories are a great way to convey lessons, and we can all relate to stories. So let me begin with a story that I think typifies what we try to get at from a leadership and negotiation point of view in the program at BayPath. So the story goes that there once was a rider on horseback who many years ago came across a squad of soldiers who were trying to move a heavy piece of timber. A corporal stood by giving lordly orders to heave, but the piece of timber was too heavy for the squad. "Why don't you help them?" the rider quietly and respectfully asked. "Me? Why, I'm a corporal, sir." Dismounting, the rider carefully took his place with the soldiers. "Now all together, boys, heave," he said. As the big piece of timber slid into the place, the rider mounted his horse and addressed the corporal. "The next time you have a piece of timber for your men to handle, Corporal, send for your commander-in-chief." The horseman was George Washington. So for me, this story is really what effective leadership is all about. We never should get too big for our britches, if you will, and never think that we are so special as leaders that the people that follow us don't matter, because that's exactly the wrong message. The right message is that leaders are nothing without the people that follow them and either respect them or don't respect them, believe in the vision they create or don't. So it's incumbent on us as leaders to understand that dimension and to treat everybody that we engage with, and in particular, those people who we want to follow us, with dignity, respect, and as part of a team. Now, you might be wondering, this program is a Master's of Science in Organizational Leadership and Negotiation. So why negotiation? Many of you might be thinking, I don't negotiate very much. I'm not in sales or procurement or something like that. I don't sell houses or cars. Let me tell you, you're wrong. You negotiate every day, all the time. Whether it's at work with your boss or your counterparts or people who work with you, or with clients, subcontractors, things along those lines, or at home with your spouse, partner, parents, kids, or in the world around you, buying a car, a home, dealing with credit card companies, you name it. leadership and negotiation have a yin-yang relationship. And negotiation in many ways is the how-to of leadership. So many students come into the program having a pretty good idea of wanting to become a better leader. And that's what this program is all about. But it's also about becoming a better negotiator. And the skills of negotiation are really, as I said, how you go about being an effective leader, because negotiation is really about persuasion. It's about engaging and working with people effectively and dealing with the people kind of challenges that we confront on a regular basis. The last thing I'll say before we go on to the next slide is that the common refrain from people who join this program is that they're good at what they do, whether it's in the sciences, technology, government, business, nonprofit, but they have a hard time dealing with people when people disagree with them, when they're confronted with a power asymmetry as a woman or a person of color, the kinds of challenges they run up against. They don't know what to do with those things. And so that's what we're going to do here. You're going to take 10 classes. That's a deep dive into dealing with people. So let's get started. So why are leadership and negotiation so important to understand in today's workplace? There's a lot of studies out there, and if you look around, what you find is actually that the skills associated with leadership and negotiation are some of the most sought after out there by employers. Good communication, being well organized, being a team player, punctual, being a critical thinker, understanding the social dimensions of what's going on, being a creative thinker, interpersonal communicator, somebody who easily adapts and adjusts to new realities, and somebody who's got a good personality, who's likable. Those are the things that employers want. And in fact, interestingly enough, as you see on your screen, 71% of employers value emotional intelligence, which means managing your emotions, understanding other people, the value of the relationships, things like that, over your IQ, over how intelligent you really are. And I can tell you, having hired people, having led organizations, that I want people who are self-aware, who have these skills, and who are hard workers. To me, that's the perfect mix of an employee. And I would take that over somebody who is much smarter intuitively than others. And what's interesting too, when you think about this from a negotiation point of view, as you see there was a study done on LinkedIn, really interesting one. They canvassed 8,500 people, and they said, how many of you are comfortable negotiating? That was it. It was the only question. 37% of men who responded said they were comfortable. 26% of women said they were comfortable. What that means, if you flip the numbers around, is that almost 2/3 of men and 3/4 of women are not comfortable negotiating. At the end of this program, you will be, and you will fit into those categories of people who are comfortable doing these things. Okay, Sam. So here's a couple of quotes that, from my point of view, I think capture the essence of the organizational leadership component of what we're doing. So Lao Tzu, who is a famous philosopher, said, a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves. Lisa Cash Hansen, a scholar in the field of leadership, said, leadership is the ability to guide others without force into a direction or a decision that leaves them still feeling empowered and accomplished. Right? You see the ability to persuade, the ability to influence, the ability to relate and empathize with others. And then Sheryl Sandberg, formerly of Facebook, who wrote a famous book called Lean In, said true leadership stems from individuality that is honestly and sometimes imperfectly expressed. Leaders should strive for authenticity over perfection. There are no perfect leaders. We all have things that we don't do well and places we excel. And one of the things that we do in this program that I'm very proud of is that we don't treat teaching people about leadership in a cookie cutter kind of way. When you come into the program, we look at you, we talk to you, and we work with you on what are those strengths that you bring to the table, and how do we build on those? Because that's really important. We all do things well, and we want to make sure that those things don't get lost as you seek to become a better leader. And on the flip side, we all struggle. We all have our weaknesses and things along those lines. And so we try to work with you to figure out what are those weaknesses and why do they exist? What are the reasons for them? And how do we help you to get better? And we do, and we will. And you'll see from some of the quotes later that students really get a lot out of this program because we dive into those weaknesses. We don't shy away from them, and we help you to understand them in great detail. Now, from a negotiation point of view, there's also some important quotes that I think are valuable to share here. There are a lot of misconceptions about negotiation. Negotiation is often not what people think it is. The reality is that in most of our negotiations, we need the other people we negotiate with. And so if we negotiate in a win-lose way, in a way that sees the other as an adversary, we're missing the boat most of the time because we have to work with them. Negotiation is an interdependent process. We don't get where we want to go unless they say yes and vice versa. So here's a few quotes from Robert Estabrook. He says, "He who has learned to disagree without being disagreeable has discovered the most valuable secret of a diplomat." We want you to say no to people. We want you to assert for yourself, but there's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. And in the program, you're going to learn how to be assertive for yourself, not aggressive. One of my favorite quotes about the distinction between the two is, assertiveness is standing on your own 2 feet. Aggressiveness is standing on somebody else's toes. We don't want the latter. It doesn't serve our purposes, but we absolutely have to have the former. Victor Kiam, a famous businessman, a successful businessman, said, "A negotiator should observe everything. You must be part Sherlock Holmes, the inspector, and part Sigmund Freud, the psychoanalyst." And what he's saying is, generally speaking, that negotiations aren't always what they seem. And the best negotiators are people who take the time to observe what's going on really carefully and try to understand what's happening beneath the table. There are lots of issues that are happening on the top of the table that we know about. But there's a lot of things that are going on, what we would say is beneath the table, that we also have to understand. And that's where the investigative part of Sherlock Holmes comes in. And Sigmund Freud, because so much of what we do in negotiation is psychological and rooted in our mind. And so we have to understand the biases and the things that guide our decisions in order to avoid them and manage them effectively. The last quote is from Mark Rudolph, who says, "Negotiation is empathy." It's almost trite to say that if you can't put yourself in the seat of the other person you're speaking with, you're not going to do well. It's not about being a bully, not about making offers people can't refuse. So here we see from Rudolph basically this notion of interdependence, that the best negotiators that I know and I work with always have a mix of competition and cooperation. And they know that you have to value the short term and meet your needs, but also the long-term relationship. Okay, Sam. So here's a couple of quick scenarios. Read them for a second. Now, they may not be exactly what you experience, but these are the kind of things that you're going to learn how to deal with in the program. So if you think to yourself as you read them, I would have no idea what to do with this, then this program is probably for you. So I'll give you a second there. You can hit the pause button for a minute to be able to read those and think about them. All right, Sam, let's go on to the next one. So the MS in Organizational Leadership and Negotiation is a comprehensive degree in 2 of the most sought after knowledge areas and skill sets in the workplace today. Google, what do employers want? And you will find that the skills associated with this program are spot on with what they are looking for. So this is a degree that encompasses in-depth study with a focus on learning core theories, because that's of course necessary. But also, we talk quite a bit about strategy and tactics. So it's important to go into your leadership and negotiation endeavors with a strategy. You can't just fumble your way through it, which is what a lot of people do. And analysis. We spend lots of time helping people to analyze what's going on, to make sure they're addressing the right problem, and how to prepare effectively. Because if you don't prepare in a leadership or negotiation endeavor, you're preparing to fail. That much I can tell you for sure. But we then don't just leave it at theory, strategy, and analysis. We give you a heavy dose of skill development and mastery. Of the 10 classes that you're going to take, 4 of them are a deep dive into skill building. And there are 12 core skills that we believe every leader and negotiator needs to know. And we dive in, we figure out what you do well, where you struggle, and then we help you with those places where you struggle. Now, the nice thing about this degree too is there's significant opportunities for practical application. Most of you are working full-time. And so your workplace becomes an active lab that we gear our assignments toward. And in addition, we also have a lot of role plays, simulations, and exercises where we have you engage with your fellow students and go through those, practice in those simulations and role plays to see what you do well and maybe where are those places that you're struggling a bit. And so one big concern people have is that they feel like they might be off in cyberspace on their own with a program like this that's completely online. And you won't be. We go to great lengths to make sure that's not the case, and I'll explain more. But as I said, there's the simulations, there's the role plays, there's the assignments that are geared toward applying things at your workplace, interviewing people there, talking to people about their leadership and negotiation challenges, etc. So plenty of opportunity for practical application. This degree is really for anybody where people exist. So it's for-profit, nonprofit, public sector, you name it. It's for anybody. And it's a degree that moves past superficiality. If you go to a 1 or 2 day training, you can absolutely get some good skills in leadership and negotiation, but you can't get the kind of depth that we talk about here related to structural things. For example, within an organization, how do you lead and negotiate virtually? What are the psychological dimensions of leadership and negotiation? And what are some of the key dynamics that impact the process, from trust to race and gender and culture and power and timing? You get the idea. And all of this is done completely online so that you can do this, you can do the work that's assigned to you when you have the time. Okay, Sam? So how is this degree unique? Well, interestingly enough, this is the only master's degree program in the United States, and maybe even beyond, that specifically combines leadership and negotiation. And the focus is on what we call transferable skills. Sometimes they're called relational skills or soft skills, but they're really what many people need to move from where they are in an organization to the next level and beyond. And in fact, there are some people out there who want to do this program so they can start their own consulting company or even think about changing jobs. Those are all things that have happened to people over the last 9 years, and they'll continue to happen, whether it's moving up the ladder, setting up a new business, or feeling comfortable enough to shift and take on a new adventure. The other thing that I would say about the degree is that it really provides flexibility, convenience, and a safe space for learning and exploration in this online context. Leadership and negotiation are difficult things to learn. And so you really want to feel like you're being given the opportunity in a safe way to do that. And we really go to great lengths to create that atmosphere, to give you the psychological safety to try new things, etc. Okay, Sam? So here's, again, I'm just going to leave this with you to look at. Well, you can go ahead and pause the recording for a second. These are some of the quotes from folks over the years who have taken the program. I am more than happy to connect you with any previous alumnus from the program so that you can talk to them from a student point of view. What's it like to be in this program, and what are the faculty like, and what's the pace like, and things like that. I welcome that, and I have a stable full of people who have volunteered to share their experience with everybody. So if you'd like to speak to somebody, let me or Sam know, and we can put you in touch with them. All right, Sam. So why might this degree be for you? Well, again, the biggest reason is that a lot of people want to move from where you are in your career, right, to the next level. You want to become a manager and a leader and move up the chain, or build a skill set that is invaluable no matter what you do. You'll learn to appreciate your strengths and understand your weaknesses, as we talked about. Develop confidence in those people around you that you have this ability. You know, I can tell you that as somebody who's run an organization before, if I have something that I can delegate to somebody and I can trust them and I don't have to check on them, I know it's going to get done. I know they're going to be able to handle challenges that come their way. It's a blessing. As any leader will tell you, those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself because they make your job easier and you empower them in a way that's challenging and interesting. Now, some of the key skills that you're going to learn in this program are problem solving, assertiveness, empathy, dealing with difficult people, having difficult conversations, something that most of us struggle with, developing emotional intelligence, becoming more persuasive, and increasing your ability to influence others, and how to deal with power when you don't have it, an age-old question that often befuddles many of us. Okay, Sam? A couple more slides here, folks, and then I'm going to turn it back to Sam and we'll address some frequently asked questions. Now, this degree can also benefit your place of employment. Some of you might be lucky enough to have an employer who helps you with this, but either way, you're going to be able to take this knowledge and these skills back to your workplace. And so your boss or supervisor is going to gain a new level of confidence in your ability. You're going to become a more versatile employee who can do many things that rely on leadership and negotiation knowledge and skills. You'll be able to handle the challenges that I mentioned with peers and others without the help of a supervisor. Trust me, that will be really big for them. And you can teach other employees by modeling what you've learned, kind of creating a ripple effect within your organization. You know, I've seen this quite a bit where students will get back in touch with me and said, hey, I've been put in this new role related to training or teaching, and now I'm able to take what I learned and disseminate it out throughout my organization, and this is great. Okay, Sam. So here are the courses that we take. Now, generally, if we think of the pyramid in front of us, we start at the bottom and that creates the foundation for us. Okay, so the first three courses are ones that I really insist that you take in order. Now, I don't do that to be difficult, just because it creates a solid foundation for everybody of knowledge so that you can learn the more advanced skills and strategy and approaches. So the first three courses are Introduction to Negotiation, then Introduction to Leadership, and then we begin weaving these together in an Advanced Leadership and Negotiation course. And the key dimension to that third course is actually learning about adaptability and flexibility and the importance of that kind of a mindset. Then we have three what I would call topical classes that generally speaking influence us in great detail, and so it's very important to take these. If you can do it in this order, that's great. But after you've taken the three classes, if you need to mix and match a little bit, you can, okay? So the next three classes are leading and negotiating in a virtual and multicultural world. So we talk about how do you lead and negotiate virtually through Zoom, through email, things along those lines, and across cultures. We live in a world that is getting smaller. And so we interact with lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds. So cultures related to gender as well as race, things along those lines are really valuable to get into in this class. The class after that is the psychological dimensions of leadership and negotiation. We feel very strongly that a very big part of being an effective leader and negotiator is something that happens in the psychological realm between your ears. And there's all kinds of things that go on there that we're not aware of unless you're made aware of them, which is the purpose of that class. Students really come out of that class saying, wow, mind blown, no idea that all these things were going on in my head, and now I get it. And then the third topical class is gender leadership and negotiation, where we explore that intersection in a detailed way, not in a superficial way, because there's a lot of dimensions here that are quite important. And then we make a shift. And the shift are to the skills-based courses. So as you can see, we have 4 labs, we call them. Each lab has essentially sort of different skills. So in MLN 630, we talk about planning and preparation. We get you ready to have your leadership and negotiation challenges and endeavors in that course. 635 is relational skills. Relational skills are assertiveness, empathy, and persuasion. So we have you really think about those. If you struggle with assertiveness, we help you to figure out why and how to become better at that. Challenging situation skills is the next class. That's around having difficult conversations, dealing with difficult people, and dealing with power. One of the more important classes you're going to take, because those are the places where we often run into challenges that we just don't know how to handle. And then the last classes are intangible skills. So this is about relationship building. This is about emotional intelligence. This is about understanding the nonverbal elements of leadership and negotiation and things along those lines. So those are the 10 classes that form the heart of this program. So I'm going to turn this back over to Sam, and then we'll get into a few frequently asked questions in a minute.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Weiss. So as he said, our program is 100% online. So we utilize the online platform Canvas. And if you are, haven't taken an online course a day in your life, or you are maybe only familiar with online courses, we have a free course to orient new students. It's a self-paced guided tutorial to just really make sure that you have that confidence before you begin your first course of your program. Just make sure that you have that confidence to begin and know where everything is. So Canvas is accessible from a desktop, a tablet, and a mobile app. It has telecommunication and video capabilities, and we have a dedicated online support team that is very, very responsive. Even on the weekends, they are there to help you in any, issues or troubleshooting that you might need. Our student financial services is also a very, very important department here at Bay Path, especially for our graduate students who are maybe, unsure of how they can pay for grad school. So I certainly am not an expert in the realm of financial aid, but we do have financial aid advisors that you will be assigned to based off of your last name, and they will be there to help, provide you assistance and really guide you to make a seamless transition. So they are available via phone, email, or in person. They do conduct Zoom meetings as well. We have an on-demand video library that has a multitude of resources of how to pay for grad school, how to fill out your FAFSA application, a lot of how-tos and just frequently asked questions. And like I said, it is a video library. It's right on our Student Financial Services page on our website. Aside from that, we also offer FAFSA Fridays where you can get live help with filling out that financial aid application. And we offer Stafford loans in the amount of up to $20,500 per year, and that is more than enough to cover this program. And you'll see underneath the picture, that is the contact information for the main office of the Student Financial Services Department. But like I said, you will be assigned, a designated advisor based off of your last name as well, and can really get in contact with them a lot easier that way. Our graduate admission requirements. So we do look for a bachelor's degree from an accredited university or institution. We do look for a GPA of 3.0 or higher on a 4.0 scale. We have an electronic application that is found right on our website. It is very straightforward, very quick and easy to complete. Along with that application, we will also look for all official college and university transcripts. It is important that those, to be considered official, they do need to come directly to Bay Path, either electronically or via email, and they do need to come directly from your previous institution. So it is very, very important that they are considered official. Along with those transcripts, we'll also look for a statement of purpose essay of about 250 words as to why this graduate degree is important to your personal and your professional goals. We'll look for 2 letters of recommendation, either from a professional or an academic standpoint, and those are downloadable forms that are found right on our website as well. We will also look for a current resume, and that would complete your admission file here at Bay Path. We are now enrolling. We have an October 28th start date of 2024, and our next start date will be in March. So we are rolling admissions, and we highly, highly encourage you to, even if you're not interested for quite some time, just to get the ball rolling and get that application started, and we are more than happy to help assist through that process.
Sam, can I just say one quick word about the requirements?
Sure.
Um, the preferred GPA, listen, we've had people who have worked in companies for 20 years. They freely admitted to me that they were not the best student, and their GPA didn't quite hit that. That's not, it's not something that I want to deter you. I understand that life experience is equally valuable in many ways. So, if you have a 2.5 or 2.6 or whatever, like, don't let that not, to push you away from applying. And the other thing I just want to mention is that for me, the statement of purpose is really important. Me understanding as the director and the person who's going to review these applications as to why you want to do that is significant, and it makes a big impact on me. And there have been a number of people who have said to me in their essay, look, I know I could have done better, but here's why I want to do that. Please take a chance on me, whatever it might be. And the ones that I did take a chance on, they did not disappoint me. So, please feel free to apply. We look at these things in a holistic way, and our goal is to help you become a better leader and negotiator, bottom line. And so we understand people have struggled in the past, but you're where you are now. And, your future can be brighter when you know all of this. And so don't let these things deter you if you don't exactly fall into some of these categories. Okay, Sam, back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, because I do experience that a lot with students that I speak with, and they might have completed their bachelor's degree, in their teenage years, in their early 20s, and it just isn't the best reflection of the type of student that they can be now. So thank you so much for pointing that out, and definitely don't let your GPA discourage you from applying to this program. So here you'll find our contact information. As you can see, Dr. Weiss, our program director, he's a professor of the program, and he will be your advisor. If you have any program related questions, or like he said, if you'd like to speak with alum, you can certainly reach out to him, or anything admissions related. Please don't hesitate to either reach out to myself via email or give me a call, and I would be more than happy to help assist you in any way that I can throughout the admissions process. And lastly, we have some frequently asked questions we'll dive into. And if there's anything that isn't covered, if you still have some questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out either to myself or Dr. Weiss, and we can certainly address those questions that you might still have. So let's get started. Some of the common questions that we do get would be, what does a typical week look like in regards to assignments, and how many hours you might expect one of your students to put into the program each week?
Sure. So a typical week looks basically like, usually there's readings and videos to watch. And there are at least 2 questions that you have to answer from those videos or readings. So you have to, and we usually provide, say, 4 or 5 questions to you about the readings or videos that you've seen. Okay. And you have to answer 2 of those questions, not all 4 or 5, just 2 of them, with an initial response. And then you have to provide 2 replies to your classmates' responses so that you engage in a bit of a dialogue that way. There are ways that you can do this via writing in Canvas, or recording videos, things along those lines. So that's the baseline. In terms of reading, I would say the average is about 50 to 75 pages a week, something like that. It can be a little more, a little less, depending on where we are in the semester. And so part of the answer to how much time, kind of depends on how fast you read and things along those lines, and also whether we have other assignments due. So for example, in the introductory negotiation class, we do a couple of role play simulations where we ask you to engage with another student in a negotiation. And after you do that, you write up a 1 to 2 page kind of what did you take away from it, what worked, what didn't, what did you notice, things like that. So in general, I would say about 10 hours a week is a fair assessment. It will ebb and flow a little. We don't really have exams in the program because learning to be an effective leader and negotiator, it's really more about seeing how you're thinking and how you're grappling with issues. So we usually have a final paper. They're not that long, maybe 5-6 pages in length, because our courses are 8 weeks long. So we keep that in mind as we go about this. But generally, that's what it looks like. And, we also make accommodations for people that have that need and can demonstrate it. And we have terrific TAs and writing instructors that are available to you to help you as well. And so I don't want as well, things like maybe you're not the best writer. I don't want that to deter you. Part of our job, in addition to teaching how to be an effective leader and negotiator, is also to help you learn to be an effective communicator, and that's orally and written. And we have those resources, and they're very available to you. And the students that take the time to get some help really come out of the program much more proficient in those areas.
Great. Thank you so much for that. How many students can I expect in my class?
Generally speaking, on the low end, about 5 to 6, and on the high end, about 15, maybe 17 or 18. So we really try to keep our classes small. They're never more than 25 people, and usually they're a little lower than that. But part of our goal is, it's really important for us to provide you with timely feedback. And the only way that we can really do that is by keeping the courses small and personal and intimate. And that's one thing that is a non-negotiable for me as the director of the program. The faculty that I hire, when I tell them, when they come in, I say, look, the one thing that you have to agree to do is give timely feedback and effective feedback, because people are putting themselves out there. In order to learn this, they have to put some things out on the table. And so we have to give you good feedback. Otherwise, it doesn't really help you. So that's a real key dimension for us as those of us kind of running the program and teaching in it.
Great. And that actually kind of gets into the next question of, will my faculty be readily available to me?
So they are readily available. The people who teach in this program are really committed. They all work, they all have other jobs, but I think that's actually what makes this so impressive and why I love having them teach in the program, because in addition to the fact that they work full time, they teach in this program and they love it. Most of the faculty have been with me for a long time. And that's a testament to the fact that they really care about it, and the bonds that they create with the students is wonderful. And I get great emails from students saying, I love this professor, I love that professor, and they were so kind and they helped me deal with life issues. And the average age, and it doesn't mean you can't fall outside of the spectrum, but the average age of a student in the program is about 30 to 55. And so there's a lot of life challenges that come your way. And our goal is to be there for you. It's not to penalize you. It's to help you to finish the program, to grow, to change. And we know that life sometimes gets difficult. And as long as you communicate with us and use the knowledge and skills you're learning in the program, all boats will rise and you'll have a great experience. That much I know, because we've been doing this for 9 years, and the testimonials that I get are amazing. And I'm very proud of that fact.
Awesome. Do we accept transfer credits into this program?
So I can accept transfer credits. The key is that it has to line up with a current course. So for example, if you've taken an introduction to leadership class, of course, I'm not going to make you retake that. So it just depends. Obviously, they have to be graduate level courses for them to transfer. But if there's a way to line them up, then of course I'm more than happy to consider that and review anything and to hear your case as to why I should take some of those in.
Sure. Last question that we get often is how much can I expect to put into books for the program? Is there a high cost with the books that are expected throughout the program?
So we're very conscious of that. And so we try to assign books that are, many of which are available through Hatch Library for free. But the books that are not, we don't use many textbooks. I'm not a big fan of textbooks. I think they're kind of dry, and I hate to say that, but they're not the most engaging. So we use one or two, like one in the early negotiation class, because that's like getting a very good lay of the land. So you need to know what the different theories and concepts are. and then one in the leadership, the intro to leadership class. But really, after that, the nice thing about leadership and negotiation is there's always new books that are coming out that are really written in for more of the mainstream. And so the readings that we do, they're not dense academic readings. That's not what people want in this program. They're approachable texts. They're easy to read. So, reading 50 pages kind of goes a lot faster than you would think with many of the books that we assign. And the students really like them. I hear that from the students after they finish the program that they have a shelf of leadership and negotiation books and keep them handy so that they can refer back to some of the key concepts. And one of the things I'll just add is that we have you do what's called a Masters in Organizational Leadership and Negotiation Toolbox. So at the end of each class, we have you take some concepts and kind of drop them into your toolbox so that when you finish the program, you have an easy resource to help you recall some of the key concepts, skills, strategies, theories, concepts. And students really love that. They come back and say, I really, the toolbox is great. So when I run into a problem or a challenge, I open it up and I look through it, and I am refreshed in my mind about the tools and what I have at my disposal that I learned in the program. And by the way, that came actually out of a conversation with students after the first year who said, we learned so much in this program. I'd love a way of keeping track of it all and having it at my fingertips. And so we actually co-created that with them, which was great.
Awesome. That is so awesome to see how it all played out over the course of these past 10 years. So those are a lot of our frequently asked questions. Like I said, if you haven't had your questions answered, definitely do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Dr. Weiss, and we would be more than happy to help assist you and answer any questions you might have. But I thank you for joining me today, Dr. Weiss, to share a bit of information about the program here at Bay Path. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you everybody for taking time out of your day. We know you're busy. We know you have lots of choices and we appreciate it. So best of luck. We're here if you decide to go down this road, and we will welcome you with open arms.
Absolutely. We look forward to connecting with you all soon. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.